If you have a lust for revenge, you can do things you never think you were capable of. This is a story of a young, beautiful girl who seduces not one but two men, one of her age and the other is an older one. She wants her revenge on one of them. Let's see how she goes about it. Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we'll be going through the 2018 thriller film Josie. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. At the beginning of the movie, we see the police raiding a house and a man is fishing in a lake, and he starts having hallucinations in which he sees a prisoner in an orange dress. The man we are talking about is named Hank, and he lives in a pink motel along with his favorite pet, which is a tortoise. One day, a beautiful young girl named Josie moves into the motel and asks Hank to help her move in some of her boxes. She also looks around the apartment to see if it's a good place to live. After that, we see Josie going to her high school where she becomes friends with Marcus on her very first day. He offers her to be his partner for a project at which his friend Gator gets offended. Hank also works at the same high school. Hank sees Marcus smoking on the school premises and asks him to put out the cigarette. Marcus gets close to Hank and blows smoke in his face before putting out the cigarette. Hank then returns to his truck, and as he sits in, he finds crap in his seat. His pants get dirty as he comes out of the truck. Marcus and his buddies laugh at him. Next, we see Hank petting his tortoise as he stands in the window wearing no pants. He sees Josie by the pool, who is in her swimsuit and looks insanely hot. Ms. Joyner comes to her and asks why a young girl like her is living alone. Josie tells her that her parents are going to join her soon. At night, while Hank watches TV, he hears a car parked outside. He goes to the window and sees it's Marcus and Josie. Marcus tells Josie that he is skeptical of Hank and he is not too thrilled about the fact that he lives just across from her. He goes on to tell her that he has never liked Hank because he strikes him as a weirdo. Marcus is then a little shocked to see Josie's place as he sees no furniture in there. However, he is simultaneously intrigued at the thought that Josie is alone and her parents are not going to be home anytime soon. He goes on to ask about the whereabouts of her parents, and Josie reveals that her father is in the military. He has been assigned to a project in Germany, and her mother also went with him, so it's just going to be her for now. She goes on to add that she was sick of the military lifestyle, so her parents emancipated her. One day, Hank is sitting in his truck when Josie appears and gets into his car. The two start talking, and as they get to know each other better, they start acting friendly. For starters, they talk about Marcus, and Hank expresses how the boy gets on his nerves. Josie, on the other hand, talks about how her father was never around, so she did not get to spend much time with him. She then goes on to ask him about his hobbies, and he tells her about his pet and fishing. She then asks him if he is going to the cookout, and it turns out that he has no idea that there is going to be a cookout. He, however, says that he is going to be there. When Josie gets out of the car, we see that Marcus has been watching both of them. Memorial Day is here, and Mrs. Joyner seems busy as she is serving drinks to everybody. To everyone's surprise, Hank shows up at the gathering. They are surprised because he never takes part in social gatherings. Josie is excited to see him and takes him with her to show him something, and Mrs. Joyner notices that the two seem close to each other. She does not like it given the fact that there is a huge age gap between the two. Josie, on the other hand, takes Hank to show him a turtle racing stadium that she made herself. The others also join in to have a racing contest between each other's pet turtles. At night, everyone is having a good time when Marcus shows up with his friends and asks Josie to join them. Hank tries to stop her, but Mrs. Joyner tells Hank that he should let the girl go. When Josie leaves, the elder ones subtly point out that Hank should not get too close to the girl. It does not sit well with Hank, but he does not say anything in retaliation and decides to leave. Josie plays a drinking game with the boys and tells them if she wins, she will let them feel her breasts. Well, the boys wouldn't want anything else, so they let her win intentionally. However, when Marcus comes forward to get his hand on her tits, she puts her blouse back on and walks away with a smirk on her face. Marcus then approaches and asks her to smoke with him. While they smoke, Marcus tries to talk himself up as he tells her that he likes to hunt and goes on to add that he once killed a snake with his bare hands. But it blows in his face when Josie tells him that she does not like killing things. She goes on to add that Hank goes fishing from time to time and she might tag along with him someday. Josie, admiring Hank, does not of course sit well with Marcus. Gator then appears again and starts talking about Hank mutilating dead bodies. The boys try their best to prove that something is wrong with Hank, but Josie defends Hank and goes on to tell them that she does not believe them. Hank is watching TV at night when he hears a car stopping outside. He peeks out the window and sees it's Marcus and Gator dropping off Josie. As the boys leave, he goes outside to talk to Josie. He tries to engage in a conversation with her by thanking her for the tortoise race earlier, and Josie then asks him when she is going to see the habitat he has built for the tortoise. He offers to show her around right away, but she refuses, saying that she needs to get in bed now. As Josie gets into her place, Hank gets into his truck, and as he starts the engine, he again starts to hallucinate as he sees the same man wearing the same jumpsuit. Hank ignores it and drives on. The next morning, he wakes up when his neighbors are calling him out. He comes out to see that his truck is painted with the word "Spank" written on it. Josie also comes out to see what's going on. Hank tells her that he is about to leave for Marina. Saying that Hank seems a little out of sorts, she offers to accompany him and he agrees. Josie tells him about the rumors going on about him, but Hank denies everything. Josie then goes on to ask him about his past, and he tells her that he is basically from Huntsville, Texas, and there he used to work as a prison guard. His job was to tie up inmates on death row. As he tells her how he saw many people taking their last breath, Josie listens to him with rapt attention. Upon being asked, Hank tells her that he quit his job because one of the inmates that was executed by him turned out to be innocent later on. Hank says that he could not bear the guilt, so he left the job in the city as well. Hank says that he is still unable to get over it because an innocent person was executed as he looked on. They then got back in the truck, and Josie invites him to join her by the poolside. Hank shows some reluctance but ends up agreeing to join her. We then see Josie lying by the pool in her swimsuit, and Hank is hiding behind the plants as he is still confused as to whether he should join her or not. He eventually gets over his hesitance and joins Josie. As the two lie around side by side, Mrs. Joyner looks from her window and suspects that despite their huge age gap, the two are in a relationship. Her husband tells her to let go of it, but how could she? As Josie and Hank talk, they plan to ride on his drifter the next day. Martha then shows up with drinks and interrupts their conversation. When Josie is about to tell her what they are talking about, Hank interrupts her and says that they are just talking about the things that happen in the school parking lot. Josie then understands that Hank wants to keep it a secret. Hank, on the other hand, seems thrilled about the fact that he has plans with Josie. He grooms himself and wears a nice dress. He then practices some dancing moves to the music he plays. He then gets flowers for Josie and knocks on Josie's door at exactly 9 o'clock. She is a little bewildered to see Hank all dressed up. Much to Hank's dismay, he hears a male voice coming from her apartment, and Josie tells him that it's Marcus. She then tells him that she won't be able to hang out with him tonight as she has plans with Marcus. Hank still goes to the lake, and adding insult to injury, he sees that his drifter has been vandalized just like his truck was a few days ago. He gets furious and drives back to Pink Motel. As he is about to storm onto Josie's house, he hears moaning sounds coming from inside the apartment. He stops and goes back to his truck, gets a knife, and strikes the tire of Marcus's car. Hank then goes to his palace, and Mrs. Joyner joins him. She has a drink with him and tells him that Josie told her about his past. Mrs. Joyner advises him to get some help. When Mrs. Joyner leaves, Hank takes out his anger as he smashes stuff. Marcus starts shouting outside as he sees his torn tires. Josie calms him down and gives him a ride home. When she gets back, she knocks on Hank's door to check on him. Marcus is drunk by now, however, he opens the door and lets her in. Josie then sees his turtle habitat. The two start talking, and Josie asks him if he believes in God, and he tells her that he has no use for God, so he is not really a God-fearing kind of person. She then goes on to tell him that his mother once said that there is no God. She has tears in her eyes as she talks about her mother. Hank asks her where her mother is, and Josie tells him that she is dead. Then there is a knock on the door, and it turns out that Josie invited Marcus to Hank's place over beer for them to bury the hatchet between them. The next thing you know, all three of them are sitting at a table. Josie brings them drinks, then the two patch things up. As Hank talks about fishing, Marcus says he likes to hunt, and he pulls out a knife that he uses. Hank passes out and remembers the day the prisoner of his visions was executed. It was then revealed that the man Hank sees in his visions was a prisoner who was executed, and Hank was one of the guards who strapped him down that day. The man's family was also there to see the execution, a little girl and her mother. We are back to the present and see that Josie has Hank tied up on a chair and his mouth is covered. Josie then shows him a photo of a family. The man in the photo is the same man. Josie tells him that the picture was taken on her 4th birthday, and then her father was in prison for 6 years until he was executed. She says that he was not around, but at least he was alive. Josie then remembers how Hank strapped his father as she looked on helplessly. She cries as she remembers how her mother whispered in her ear that all guards are cowards. Josie then moves on to untape his mouth and asks him to recite her father's last words. He obeys her as he recites, "To all of you who put me here, you will meet a fate far worse than this. You will suffer in ways you never thought possible, that I promise you." That's all her father said, and Josie cries as she hears Hank reciting these words. She then tells him that she knows Hank is not a bad guy, and that she knows he feels guilty for what he did, unlike all the others she has killed. Josie reveals that she made it a purpose of her life to make her father's words come true. She says that they all suffered at her hands. She, however, tells Hank that she is going to make sure that Hank does not suffer and dies peacefully. As she says that, she goes on to slit his throat, and with that, Hank dies. After a while, the police arrive and find Hank's body in his apartment. Marcus, who has been unconscious all this time, gets arrested as the people living in the motel record their statements about Hank, Josie, and Marcus's conflict earlier. Josie, after accomplishing what she came for, is seen driving to Huntsville, and she has a totally different getup as she has dyed her hair black. We then see her entering the bar, and there we see some prison guards. She spots her next target. This is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.